evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. There is no bigger story today than day one of the historic impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. As we speak, 3 senator judges are indisposed, with the latest to be charged and taken into police custody, Rodante Marcoleta.
If the Constitution and its framers prescribe who shall preside, who are we to change the Constitution here today? We cannot enlarge or diminish the Constitution arrangement through internal rules.
Nowhere in the Constitution, in the provisions on public accountability and impeachment, does it say that the Senate President must preside when the Vice President is under trial.
And I have information that the 20 years AMLA records of Senator Escudero and his credit cards and bank accounts were all opened up in the office of the Senate. This is my explanation.
To the gentleman.
This is
from
factual and this is my explanation. So I will stop there.
With all due respect, your statement's already out of order.
No, Mr.
And
President.
the presiding officer will strike off.
It has all to do with this.
Will strike off.
It has all to do.
The
I do not,
statements
Mr. President,
pertaining to Senator
Mr.
Escudero.
President, kaibigan ko.
12 in favor, 8 against. Those who are in favor has it.
Mr. President,
The court resolves to elect Senator Chis Escudero as presiding officer of the impeachment court.
The Constitution provides that no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of all the members of the Senate. With 24 members of the Senate, a literal interpretation of this means that conviction requires the affirmative vote of at least 16 senator judges.
Senator Chis Escudero is now presiding officer of the impeachment court. And among the first things he settled, the voting threshold to convict VP Sara Duterte. Mobile journalist Merimon Reyes followed this afternoon's proceedings and she joins us live from the Senate. Merimon, umpisa pa lang ng impeachment trial at balitaktakan na ng husto sa Senado, or should I say the Senate impeachment court?
Tess, kahit nagsisimula pa lang yung pinaka-impeachment trial proceedings, na puno na agad ng tensyon o nagkatensyon mula sa ilang mga senador at panig na nasa loob ng plenaryo nagsisilbing impeachment court. Nagkakaroon kasi ng pagtatalo sa pagitan ng ilang senator judges patungkol doon sa paghalal ng presiding officer para sa impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Ang nagbukas yung nanguna sa pagtipon ng impeachment court ngayong araw ay si Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian, na nagpaalala pa sa mga kapwa niya senador sa kanilang tungkulin at responsibilidad pagdating dito sa impeachment. Matapos niya, binuksan naman ni Gatchalian ang floor para sa paghahalal ng bagong presiding officer. Yun nga lang, agad-agad yang hinarang ni Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano. Ang sabi niya, hindi raw yan sang-ayon sa konstitusyon at malinaw raw sa batas na dapat ang Senate President ang presiding officer kapag ka ang ini-impeach ay hindi ang Pangulo ng bansa. Oras daw kasi na baguhin nila o nitong mayorya ang presiding officer sa impeachment trial. Sa bisa lang daw nung inamend na impeachment rules, delikado raw itong makwestiyon sa Korte Suprema. Bakit hindi na lang daw si Gatchalian ang manguna o ang mag-preside kung kaya naman daw niya ang trabaho? Narito ang pahayag ni Senator Alan Cayetano.
If the Constitution and its framers prescribe who shall preside, who are we to change the Constitution here today? We cannot enlarge or diminish the Constitution arrangement through internal rules. Now, during the first day, we're going to change who's going to preside. And it's against the Constitution. What more changes are we going to do in the next few days? Ano ang limit ng pwede natin palitan sa Constitution at hindi? The authority must come from the Constitution.
Kinontra naman yan ni Senator Kiko Pangilinan at ayon naman sa kanya, hindi naman daw sinabi sa konstitusyon na Senate President ang dapat na manguna sa impeachment ng Vice Presidente. Malinaw rin daw na naamyendahan na ang impeachment rules, kaya kung may question daw kaugnay dito ay dapat talakayin sa plenaryo at hindi sa impeachment court. Ang pagtalakay raw sa issue kung tama ba o hindi na maghalal ng bagong presiding officer habang sa impeachment trial ay out of order. Maging si SP Gatchalian, sinabing aprobado na ang resolusyon na nag-amyenda sa impeachment rules, kaya dapat daw sa plenaryo na talakayin ang isyong ito at hindi sa impeachment court. Pakinggan natin si SP Gatchalian.
Nowhere in the Constitution, in the provisions on public accountability and impeachment does it say that the Senate President must preside when the Vice President is under trial or any other impeachable officer. And precisely because of this, and precisely because the Constitution likewise allows Congress, not the impeachment court, Congress, to promulgate its own rules.
This resolution has been duly approved, and everyone was given an opportunity to discuss that, to object. However, it was no one objected to that resolution, and it was duly approved by the body. So any discussion regarding this resolution should be discussed in plenary.
Tess, kinampihan din ni Senator Pia Cayetano yung kanyang kapatid. At kung kailangan din daw nasa sesyon ito pag-uusapan, sinabi pa kanina ni Senator Pia, edi tawagin daw ang Malacanang dahil nagpatawag naman daw ito ng special session ilang linggo na ang lumipas. Narito naman ang pahayag ni Senator Pia.
I disagree with your point of view. Tanungin nyo naman po yung staff nyo. Or let's pause, let's all get a copy. Let's show it. Because this is the foundation of this trial na tama yung nakaupong presiding officer. Papatawag tayo ng special session. Mukha namang very supportive naman ang Malacanang sa majority. Di ho ba? Pero I take the position that we are in impeachment court. We are already in impeachment court. Therefore, the amendments must happen here.
Mary Mon, mainit din ang usapin tungkol sa voting threshold pero tila na desisyonan na ito ng mayorya.
Tama, Ses. Ang sinasabi pa so far kasi kanina, yung pagkatapos mahalal as presiding officer, itong si Senator Escudero, nagtalumpati siya, dito niya rin formally dineclare yung nananatili yung 2/3 mula sa 24 na mga senador ang ipapatupad para daw doon sa voting threshold para magkaroon o makonvict sa impeachment trial si VP Sara Duterte. Ibig sabihin, kahit daw 21 na senador ang nakadalo sa impeachment trial, 16 pa rin. Ito yung 2/3 ng 24 ang kinakailangan para madeklarang guilty si Vice President Sara Duterte. Ses.
Kailan naman magdedesisyon ang Senate Impeachment Court ukol sa proposal ni Senator Alan Peter Cayetano at Robin Hood Padilla para sa pagdalo ni Senador Rodante Marcoleta at Jinggoy Estrada sa impeachment proceedings?
Tess, ang nasabi kanina ni Presiding Officer Senator Chis Escudero, makikipag-consult daw muna siya sa ibang senator judges. Kanina kasi nilagay din o sinabi rin sa floor ni Senator Alan na sana raw magkaroon ng pagkakataon o maka-attend ng personal o physically itong si Senator Jinggoy Estrada pati si Senator Rodante Marcoleta sa impeachment trial proceedings. And kung babalikan natin yung mga lumipas na linggo, ito rin yung hypothetical na question ni Senator Ping Lacson mula sa mayorya na paano kung may mga senador pa raw ang mapunta sa mga sitwasyon na magkakaroon ng limitation sa kanilang gagampaning tungkulin bilang senador o kaya naman senator judge. Sa case kasi ni Senator Jinggoy, may preventive suspension order. Kay Senator Marcoleta, though naaresto siya, ito yung titingnan natin kung magkakaroon na rin ng suspension sa kanyang duties muna, panandalian bilang senador. Kailangan daw ba magkaroon ng intervention na dito ng Korte Suprema, magre-request ng leave of court, i-escort itong mga senador para makapag-participate. Nabuksan pa kanina na medyo hindi gaanong okay, hindi rin gaanong hindi si Senator Raffy Tulfo kung kunwari virtually o online magpa-participate itong dalawang senador. Pero for now, pakikipag-consult daw muna ang impeachment court at abangan lang natin kung magkakaroon na sila ng desisyon sa mga susunod na araw. Ses.
Thanks for your reporting and see you again tomorrow, mobile journalist Mary Mon Reyes. She promised a bloodbath, but Vice President Sara Duterte was, as expected, a no-show on the first day of her impeachment trial. How did the House prosecution panel take this? Let's now ask mobile journalist Amy Atienza reporting from the upper chamber. Amy?
Yes, says the House prosecutors were actually dismayed by the non-appearance of Vice President Sara Duterte during the first day of her impeachment trial. Ang nasabi dito no ng prosekusyon ay isa nga daw pag-iwas sa pagsagot sa mga alegasyon sa kaugnay nung 4 na articles of impeachment ang ginawa ni Vice President Sara Duterte. At kanina nga narinig natin at noong mga nakaraan, naririnig natin no na gusto daw kasi ni Vice President Sara Duterte ay isang bloodbath, pero hindi daw ito yung naipakita. At nung nagkaroon din ng press conference no kasama itong si House Private Prosecutor Lorna Capunan ay parang bubble bath nga daw yung ibinigay nito ni VP Sara. Pero naniniwala pa rin naman ang ilang House prosecutors na karapatan pa rin naman daw ni Vice President Sara Duterte na hindi magpakita at magkaroon nga lang no ng representation through counsel. Pero ang iginigiit din talaga nila dito ay sana nga raw ay masagot na yung mga tanong nila, lalong-lalo na kapag kaugnay na ng unexplained wealth pati na rin confidential funds ng bise. Pakinggan pa natin ang kanilang pahayag.
Legal strategy yan ng defense. So karapatan na naman nila kung hindi siya pupunta. Diskarte nila yan eh. So it's up to them.
The bloodbath starts today. If he's not coming here, then I thought she was going to bring the bloodbath. Well, that's an abdication of accountability.
Amy, nagbigay na ng kani-kanilang opening statement ang magkabilang panig. Ano ang sinabi ng panel of prosecutors ng House of Representatives pati na ang counsels for the prosecutors?
Says kanina nung ongoing nga itong impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte, nakita na natin no, na may konting disagreement between the House prosecution panel and of course the defense team. Ang sinasabi kasi dito sa naging motion nga ni Representative Jervil Luistro ay mabasa bribery pati na rin yung grave threats and destabilization ni Vice President Sara Duterte at magkaroon nga daw sana ng tugon si VP Sara kaugnay itong mga alegasyon na ito na nakalakip din doon sa mga reklamong inihain sa Kamara. Pero ang nakita din daw kasi nga kailangan din talagang i-consider at syempre ang nakita ang naging desisyon mismo ng Senate Impeachment Court ay hindi na nga daw basahin itong 4 na articles of impeachment, pati na rin na hindi na rin kinakailangan no, na magbigay ng tugon si VP Sara per impeachment article. Mas maganda daw na gagawin na lang ito right after the presentation of all the articles of impeachment dito mismo sa Senate. So yun yung tinitingnan natin at ine-expect natin for the days to come. Pero pakinggan pa natin yung ilan pa sa naging
reading of the article and entry of the particular plea.
I think the question, Your Honor, is very simple.
As I have
It's
mentioned,
answerable
Your
by
Honor.
yes or no, Your Honor.
Rule
Is the
7,
lead prosecutor,
Rule 9,
is the lead
Let
prosecutor
this not be a debate between the
requesting
councils.
for the respondent accused to
Counsel
be
for
arraigned, Your Honor?
respondent.
Yes, nonetheless naman ay naninindigan no ang House Prosecution Panel pati na rin yung Counsel for the Prosecution na matibay nga yung mga ebidensya na ipepresenta nila. Though hindi man natuloy doon sa kanilang hindi man natuloy yung motion na gusto nila for this day, lalong-lalo na doon sa kahon ng Bureau of Internal Revenue, ay naniniwala pa rin naman sila na maayos nilang maipepresenta lahat ng ebidensya at dokumento na kalakip nitong articles of impeachment. Says,
Thank you for your update, mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Then let's talk about the defense team, or as the impeachment court now calls them, counsels for the respondent. Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos reports. Arles, why was the VP absent today and where was she?
Tess, that is actually the question that we have been asking since the defense or the counsels for the Vice President Sara Duterte arrived here at the Senate at around 11 a.m. earlier today. Duterte did not personally appear, but she was represented by 16 of her counsels. It wasn't confirmed by his spokesperson, Attorney Michael Powa, whether her absence is a personal choice or her counsel advised her to do so. And after that, as per POA, the Vice President, though, confirmed that they are not escaping or avoiding a responsibility and accountability for the allegations against her. And aside from that, says it was confirmed by POA also that the Vice President is busy preparing for the upcoming Super Typhoon Bavi. Let's listen to Attorney POA's statement.
She is ready, and that's why we're here today. We've been preparing for how many, actually more than a year na now, no? So I don't think there's anything to reconcile there. Ang kanyang physical presence, we will assess kung kinakailangan, bakit hindi, but that will depend on how the proceedings go, and we will advise her accordingly.
Now, Arles, any reaction from their part on Senator Chis Escudero now being the presiding officer for the impeachment trial?
Yes, as we have seen at the first day of the impeachment trial, the push and pull between the senator judges as to their position for then former Senate President Chis Escudero becoming the presiding officer for the impeachment trial. But as for the defense team, it is not appropriate for them, at least what they said, to comment on the election or nomination of Escudero to be the presiding officer for the impeachment trial, saying that there were manifestations and objections raised on the records by the senator judges, and they would just want to respect the outcome of the voting, with Escudero being the presiding officer of the impeachment trial.
Any reaction on their part regarding the arrest of their staunch ally, Senator Rodante Marcoleta? Arles, can you hear us? All right, thank you. That was mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. You're watching The Big Story in One News. When we return, Senator Judge Rodante Marcoleta is now in detention over plunder charges.
Ako ay sang-ayon sa pagkakaintindi ko sa mga batas natin. Kaya kailangan pong dumaan ng proseso.
Hingi po ako ng tulong sa Google kasi legal terms po ito. Hindi naman po ako nagtapos sa UP, hindi rin po ako nagtapos sa Ateneo, nagtapos po ako ng criminology at UP rin sa University of Prison.
Senator Robin Padilla there joining 20 of his colleagues on day 1 of the impeachment trial of ally and Vice President Sara Duterte. Padilla had suggested to the impeachment court that arrested Senators Rodante Marcoleta and Jinggoy Estrada be allowed to participate in the proceedings even as observers. After his arrest or surrender, as his camp calls it, Senator Rodante Marcoleta is spending the night at the PNP General Hospital. And for the latest, we're joined by mobile journalist Jazz Paredes. Jazz, kamusta ba si Senator Marcoleta at hanggang kailan siya dyan sa PNP General Hospital?
Ses, nandito tayo ngayon sa harapan ng Philippine National Police General Hospital kung saan nga mananatili ngayong gabi si Senador Rodante Marcoleta. Sa mga oras na ito ay wala pa tayong natatanggap na update patungkol sa kanyang resulta ng kanyang medical examination na isinagawa nga dito sa PNPGH para magkaroon ng kanyang assessment sa kanyang kalusugan kung siya ba ay fit para dalhin sa Sandigan Bayan para sa kanyang return of arrest warrant. Ngunit kung ating babalikan, Ses, no, ay ito nga si Senador Rodante Marcoleta ay dinala dito sa Philippine National Police General Hospital matapos itong makaramdam ng pananakit ng kanyang dibdib at tumaas daw ang kanyang blood pressure dahilan upang isugod siya dito sa PNPGH. Sasailalim siya sa iba't ibang medical procedure kagaya ng ECG at kwento naman ni Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla ay posibleng manatili dito ang senador ng 1 hanggang 2 araw. Hindi pa tiyak kung bukas o sa susunod na araw ay makakalabas ng senador. Ngunit oras daw na matapos ang mga isasagawang test sa kanya at ibabalik at itara-transmit agad ito sa Sandigan Bayan ay saka lamang makukumpirma kung siya ba ay pwede nang i-transport sa Sandigan Bayan para sa kanyang return of arrest warrant, sa kanyang hearing at kung maaari nga siyang dalhin sa Quezon City Jail sa Payatas kung siya ay fit na dalhin doon. Ses.
Jazz, there are conflicting accounts kung si Senator Marcoleta ay naaresto o kung siya ay sumuko. How did Senator Marcoleta describe what happened?
Sa tanggapan ng Sandigan Bayan para ihain niya yung kanilang motion to quash and motion to defer ang issuance ng warrant of arrest laban sa kanya. At aniya nga ay hindi siya magtatago at magpapasakop ito sa batas at lahat ng umiiral na batas ng bansa ay kanya raw ginagalang at dapat galangin. Pakinggan natin ang kanyang pahayag.
Ako ay hindi magtatago, haharapin ko ang batas, ang asunto, sang-ayon sa pagkakaintindi ko sa mga batas natin. Kaya kailangan pong dumaan ang proseso.
Pero Jazz, what did the authorities?
Yes, no, naging usap-usapan nga dahil kung papabasihan natin ang ayon sa kampo ni Marcoleta at ayon kay Marcoleta mismo, sila ay kusang sumuko o siya ay kusang sumuko. Habang sa panig naman ng PNP sa ADG, ng kapulisan, siya ay inaresto. Ngunit pananiwanag yan sa atin ni PNP Chief Nartates, Melencio Nartates, at ng Interior Secretary Remulla. Kung pagbabasihan natin itong pahayag ni PNP Chief Nartates, siya ay inaresto sa bisaya ng arrest warrant laban sa kanya. Habang ayon naman kay Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla, ay parehas siyang inaresto at kusang sumuko dahil nga nagkataong nasa Sandigan Bayan ang senador para ihain yung kanyang motion to quash yung arrest warrant at habang nakasailalim na sa lockdown ng Sandigan Bayan ay dito na isinilbi sa kanya ang warrant. Pakinggan natin ang paliwanag o ang kanilang pahayag kaugnay nito.
The National Police Criminal Investigation Section Group implemented the warrant of arrest issued against Senator Marcoleta and 3 others. This morning, the APG went there and received the warrant of arrest about 8:45 in the morning, and the arrest warrant was implemented.
Was he arrested or did he surrender? It was both. He went there voluntarily sa Sandigan Bayan to file a motion to quash, Subsequently, when it was denied, we closed down the building, we arrived, and we arrested him.
Alright, lahat ba ng mga akusado sa 75 million peso plunder case ni Senador Marcoleta ay under custody na?
Sa ngayon ay nasa kustudiya na ng mga otoridad ang dalawa pa lamang sa kapwa-akusado ni Senador Dante Marcoleta na sina dating Congressman Mike Defensor at negosyanteng si Joseph Espiritu. Nasaksihan nga natin kanina na dinala sila dito sa tanggapan ng CADG pasado alas 12 ng tanghali kanina matapos silang maaresto sa isang coffee shop kanina sa Quezon City. Nakita daw sila ng CADG doon, no? Ngunit ayon sa isang One News source ay hindi daw inaresto ang dalawang akusado, ngunit kusang nakipag-ugnayan itong sina Defensor at Espiritu sa CADG. Dahil daw nais daw itong gawing spectacle ni NBI Director Melvin Matibag. Ngunit sa ngayon, wala pa tayong natatanggap na impormasyon o pahayag mula kay NBI Director Matibag o kay SILG Secretary John Vic Rimulya himself to confirm kung sila nga ba ay surrendered matapos makipag-ugnayan sa CADG o sila ba ay inaresto. Sa ngayon ay ating pang-aalamin ng impormasyon na yan. Ngunit sa ngayon, dalawa pa lamang sa sa kapwa-akusado, itong ang sina Defensor at si Espiritu pa lamang ang nasa kustudiya ng mga otoridad, habang itong si Aristotel Viray ay hindi pa naaaresto at subject to PNP manhunt operations dahil nga until now ay hindi pa siya nagpapakita sa tanggapan ng krame. Ngunit kanina sa pahayag din ni PNP Chief Melencio Nartates ay in-encourage niya o siyang nanawagan dito sa isa pang kapwa-akusado na magpakita na at sumuko na dito sa Campo Crame o sa pinakamalapit na police station sa kanya at huwag na daw antayin o huwag nang antayin na siya arestuhin at kusa na lamang sumuko dito nga sa Campo Crame.
Just kapag maayos na ang kondisyon ni Senator Marcoleta, siya ba ay ililipat sa New Quezon City Jail sa Payatas kasama ng mga ibang nakakulong din na mambabatas?
Sa ngayon ay wala pang commitment order nga itong si Senador Dante Marcoleta dahil lalabas lamang daw ito oras na lumabas nga yung kanyang resulta ng kanyang medical procedure. Ngunit kung babalikan natin, nauna nang inanunsyo din ni 3rd Division Chairperson Associate Justice Carl Miranda na sa New Quezon City Jail male dormitory dadalhin sa Payatas ito ngang mga kapwa-akusado at pating ito nga si Senador Dante Marcoleta. Kasabay ito ng inanunsyo na meron na ngang whole departure order dito sa mga kapwa-akusado na merong nahaharap sa plunder charges. Ngunit sa ngayon, hindi pa natin masabing doon siya dadalhin. Ngunit kung ibabasa natin doon sa naging pahayag din ni SILG Rimulya kanina, ay kung fit o maayos yung kanyang health condition, at na-transmit na nga sa Sandigan Bayan yung desisyon kung siya ba ay maayos yung kanyang kalusugan para maihalo or maging PDL sa Quezon City Jail, ay malaki ang posibilidad na doon din siya i-detain, lalo na nakumpirma na rin ng BJMP na doon nga dinala itong kanyang mga kapwa-akusado na sina dating Congressman Mike Defensor at itong si negosyanteng Joseph Espiritu. Ngunit hanggat wala pang commitment order, antayin natin ang konfirmasyon kung doon nga ba siya dadalhin. At aantayin natin ngayon, bukas o sa mga susunod na araw, oras na din na lumabas yung resulta ng kanyang medical examination.
Just we have this bit of news just in. Naaresto na rin ang businessman na si Aristotel Viray. May narinig ka na ba tungkol dito?
Sa mga oras na ito, sa ating pagbabantay dito sa Campo Crame, ay inaabangan natin kung dinala na ba siya dito sa CIDG. Babalikan natin yan kung dito na ba siya dinala sa tanggapan ng CIDG. Ngunit sa oras man na dumating siya dito at dinala nga siya ng CIDG para dahil nga siya ay nahuli na, ay aasahan natin na dadaan din siya sa booking procedure kagaya ng kanyang mga naon ng kapwa-akusado na sina Mike Defensor, Senador Marcoleta at Joseph Espiritu para dumaan doon sa mugshot, medical procedure at iba pang profiling. Ngunit sa ngayon, aabangan natin at binabantayan natin ang movement dito sa Crame sa kanyang pagsuko man o sa kanyang pagkaka-aresto.
Naantabayan natin ang iyong update. That was mobile journalist Jazz Paredes there reporting to us live from Camp Crame. And to share his insights on the Senate goings-on today, from the impeachment to Senator Marcoleta's arrest, we have Domingo Igon Cayosa, former president of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. Welcome back to The Big Story, Attorney Cayosa.
Good evening, Ses. Magandang gabi sa ating mga kababayan.
Attorney, I would say the biggest story there is the voting threshold that was announced by Presiding Officer Chis Escudero, that it remains to be 16. Is this going to be now justiciable in case anyone would like to bring that to the Supreme Court?
Well, I think even at this point, it would still be premature because no party can claim damage because of that, because we don't really know the actual voting. It is possible, theoretically possible, that all of them will be unanimous in acquitting or in convicting. So there's no need to question that. Secondly, since it is within the powers of the Senate to interpret its own rules, and as an impeachment court, they are by and large fundamentally independent of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will not be proactive this time and delve into this issue. It would be premature, I think, even at this point.
Would you consider this a big blow to the prosecution?
Yes, it would be, but it's just a question of numbers. And it's also possible that the impeachment court will decide or will rule otherwise. You know, they can change their mind. What is more important, I think, now is that the evidence and the arguments of both sides are shown, and the senator judges and the whole country can judge for themselves.
Now, the prosecution appeared to have suffered some setbacks on the first day of the impeachment trial. One is, well, Congresswoman Luistro did not succeed in wanting to, I guess, open with a flourish and enumerate the articles of impeachment, as well as the BIR box ruling was to be returned to the BIR. What do you think?
Well, I hope that this will put them on guard and teach them a lesson. They should focus on presenting the proper evidence and convincing the impeachment court and the public about the truthfulness and the merit of their charges. They cannot rely on the weakness of the defense. But even this question about the BIR internal ITR box, it's very simple. The president can authorize the release of that. The president has that power. They have done that in other smaller cases. There's nothing to prevent the president from authorizing it. Secondly, we might just be surprised if the vice president suddenly shows up and says, let's open the box. Because if the vice president is not hiding anything in that ITR, then she should be the first one to waive that and say, open it.
But it could be a strategy on the part of defense, though, to see what the prosecution may have. I actually did think that that would be the best move of the VP, to just simply open it if she has nothing to hide.
Yes, that would cut short all of these issues and settle it once and for all. And also, you know, if the defense keeps on objecting to the opening of that, the perception will continue that there must be something there that is adverse to the interests of the vice president, or that they are hiding something in that box. So again, you know, it's not just a question of evidence, it's a question of public perception. Remember, impeachment is not a criminal or a civil case or even an administrative case. So it's not just a question of evidence, it's perception. Is she fit to be in office? Do they believe the charges? So all of this will come into play. I don't know, their timing perhaps or their strategy But it would help all of us if that box is open.
Now, on your proposal that the president could authorize the BIR to reveal the tax returns of the vice president, wouldn't this be, stepping into the arena when he would like to portray a hands-off stance?
Well, he can claim that, but as chief executive officer, that's part of his powers and functions. In other cases where there are accused or respondents with lesser stature, that is done. So it's just a matter of procedure. So you cannot also blame Senate for asking that it goes through the process. Also, it is proper that the prosecution files the necessary motion to have that admitted as evidence, because so far they didn't even list it as part of their exhibits, and they're asking Senate to take care of it. I think there is sense in the ruling that they're not the keeper of these things. So when you return it to BIR, if and when the prosecution is serious about making it an evidence, they secure the proper clearances from the authorities, which is the president, and present it. So that's perfectly legal. They have to do that. They cannot just leave it there in the Senate and let the Senate decide what to do with it.
Right. So the prosecution was off to a shaky start, you would say?
Well, I wouldn't want to make any definite judgment or assessment on the first day of trial. These things happen. What is more important, I think, is that we allow both sides to present their evidence. No more dribbling, no more too much technicalities. Let's see the evidence from both sides. Let's hear the arguments from both sides so that we can have a fair resolution of this impeachment case, and we can go on with our national life.
In the opening statement of counsel for the respondent, Sheila Season, she enumerated that it was the president, it was the executive secretary, it was the budget secretary that released the confidential funds. Did she have a point there? Does that absolve the vice president of any wrongdoing?
It is. It's really the president that transferred it to her office. But it was so there's not much question about that. That can be done. As part of the executive branch, these confidential funds can be moved from one department to the other, depending on the exigency of the situation. But what is more important, how did you use the confidential? Because confidential funds per se are not illegal. There's nothing wrong with them. It's how you use them and how you account for them.
In fact, it was Congress also that approved the budget for
yes.
when you think
that's
about
part
it.
of the budget process. So, there's no question about that. That's not the issue here. The issue is, was it used properly? Was she able to account for it properly?
So did the defense score points? What's your assessment?
Well, of course they did. Both sides, they have competent lawyers. Some of them are my friends and acquaintances. They're both competent. So it remains to be seen, We should avoid any prejudgment at this point, any trending. We cannot extrapolate what happened in one hearing to cloud our appreciation of what will unfold in the future. What is important for all of us, I think, is that let's be watchful, let's be vigilant, and work towards no more delays, no more technicalities, no more grandstanding.
Okay.
Let's go to
the meat of the matter. You're right.
Yes.
But was it wrong for the head of the prosecution panel, Luistro, to want to read the articles of impeachment into the record? And some would say it was, the defense argued that this was what? She was trying to make it appear like an arraignment?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that if the court allows you. And lawyers do that every now and then in court. But in reality, the articles of impeachment are already part of the record.
True, but of course, if you
Those are documents.
if it's read or I mean if it's read aloud, it makes a difference, like in court.
I don't think so. Yes, of course, we would they would love to do that, but we're trying to solve this as soon as possible. So if it's already part of the record, it's a written document. It's definitely part of the record. So we should not belabor the point already. Para sa ganun, mas mabilis sana yung proseso. Because if we allow everybody to do all of these usual lawyer antics in this trial, na-delay na ito ng napakatagal, baka aabutin na naman ng siyam-siyam. That will be very unfortunate for our country and for all the parties, the prosecution and the defense.
In fact, surprisingly, it went quite smoothly considering, right?
Yes, and then of course, interplay of motions, oppositions, and arguments, and both sides were heard. And to the credit of the leadership of the Senate, they will resolve quite fast. So I think hopefully that positive indication should continue for the rest of the trial.
And of course, when Senator Cayetano was trying to enumerate some issues against Senator Escudero, he was called off right away by Senator Gatchalian, by Senate President Gatchalian.
Yes, and that's part of the job of the Senate President. Of course, you out of courtesy and to allow parties to express their sentiments, but you should not allow them to continue for too long, because let's be wary of efforts to dribble this case.
So yes, it went off to a speedy start, and we welcome that. Now, let's go to the Ombudsman and the case against Senator Marcoleta. Does the Ombudsman have a case?
Well, at least the prima facie case, because when the Ombudsman or any public prosecutor charges a respondent or an accused, it's not proof beyond reasonable doubt. It's prima facie evidence. Unfortunately for Senator Marcoleta, practically all of this evidence came from him. And if you look at it, there is prima facie case. So it's now up for Senator Marcoleta to convince the Sandigan Bayan, the court that has jurisdiction, that is a valid reason or for excuse for doing these things or saying those things. So he will have that chance, but it will also be unfair and for us to say that you should not have charged him because he's a senator or because he is a sitting senator judge in an impeachment case, or that you should not have charged him because he is in the minority bloc or a critic of the administration. If we accept that kind of reasoning, halos wala ng politician na kakasuhan kasi lahat sasabihin politically motivated.
Right.
What is important is that bilis-bilisan ng Sandigan Bayan, bilis-bilisan ni Senator Marcoleta, he can exhaust all the remedies he has. And we expect that the Sandigan Bayan, being the third branch of government, will be less inclined to be involved in politics. Yun ang ating dasal. Sometimes hindi nangyayari yan. And that's why we should also be vigilant about what the judicial branch of government is doing.
Now, does Senator Robin Padilla and Alan Peter Cayetano, do they have a point in getting the senators to come and observe the impeachment trial?
But that is understandable. They are their allies, no? Those who are indisposed or those who are in jail. Of course, they would want them to be with them, no? But the problem is, it's not within the power or authority of the senators to do that, to say so. Because they are now being detained upon lawful orders of the Sandigan Bayan. So unless the Sandigan Bayan would allow them, the senators, despite a unanimity of vote, if they want to, cannot command the Sandigan Bayan to rule otherwise. So it is really in the hands of the Sandigan Bayan. But we should also understand that the Sandigan Bayan, even if they admit the importance of the senator judge or the gravity of this case, it's an impeachment case, and the allegations are very serious. A fundamental duty of a judge is to treat everybody equally. So if an ordinary criminal is not given those privileges, why should be a sitting senator be given those privileges? It will be very difficult for any fair judge. There are no exceptions in the law or in the rules.
And ultimately, it is the call of the Sandigan Bayan, not the Senate
Yes.
impeachment court.
Yes, it will even be easier for the Sandigan Bayan to say we will grant a petition for bail, because that is they can do that. But then to say that this remains not bailable, but because the impeachment trial is very important, they should be allowed. An ordinary criminal, even for minor offense, is not even allowed the cell phone in his cell. If you're denied preventively detained for a crime, you're not given these privileges. So why should a sitting senator be given more privileges than what is warranted, what is allowed to other accused? So that would be a fundamental difficulty for the Sandigan. Mas madali pa sabihin nila, mahina ang ebidensya, therefore he can go out on bail. That would be much easier to defend or to grant than a special treatment.
The Sandigan Bayan has already suspended Senator Jinggoy Estrada. So does that the suspension would apply in this particular case? Meaning he cannot
Yes, because the law provides that. Well, the law provides that when you are charged with plunder or graft cases, you are also preventively suspended. But then we have to explain also that this preventive suspension has been defined and limited by the Supreme Court to just 90 days. Hindi naman pwedeng indefinite. And the Supreme Court gave its own reasoning for that. So it will be only temporary.
All right, we appreciate your insights. Attorney Domingo Igon Cayosa, former IBP president. This is a big story on One News. Coming up is the president's unsolicited advice for his estranged vice president now facing an impeachment trial.
If it was me being accused, I would almost insist over the advice of lawyers. If they advise me not to appear, I would insist on appearing because kaya ko namang sagutin. Sige, sagutin natin.
BIR box is concerned, this box was turned over to the Senate as part of the documents, including the articles of impeachment. However, the court is not yet in custodia lehis of this box, given that there is no lawful order issued by the court for this box to be turned over to the Senate. More so that it is not yet offered in evidence, not even as of yet marked. The chair therefore orders that the BIR box, closed, sealed, and as it is received, be sent back to the BIR or the Bureau of Internal Revenue, other party for the issuance of a subpoena, and we shall await action, if any, by the BIR Commissioner should that time come. So ordered. The Constitution provides that no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of all the members of the Senate. With 24 members of the Senate, a literal interpretation of this means
President Bongbong Marcos sees no need to personally monitor the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. According to Palace Press Officer Claire Castro, the president will only be apprised as the proceedings unfold. Tomorrow, the Senate Impeachment Court will continue Duterte's trial. She faces allegations of corruption, constitutional violations, and betrayal of public trust, among others.
Mas marami pong dapat na trabahuhin ng ating Pangulo at hindi po siya uupo lamang para po manood ng impeachment trial.
Asked about the chief executive's thoughts on the impeachment, Yusek Castro pointed to Marcos's remarks during his visit to Canada.
If it was me being accused, I would almost because kaya ko namang sagutin. Sige, sagutin natin.
Kung kaya naman po na malinis ang mga pangalan, ay dapat lamang pong gawin. Mas maganda pong humarap sa nasabing trial para po siya na mismo ang sumagot ng mga akusasyon laban sa kanya.
In response, VP Sara said President Marcos's opinion on her impeachment trial is, quote, of no importance. She added the proceedings should be guided by the Constitution and due process. And now let's end on a much lighter note, shall we? Our big picture comes from the Phil Sports Arena in Pasig City for 2 Pinoy Pride. Sports fans came together for a free watch party to cheer on both Gilas Pilipinas and Filipina tennis star Alex Ayala. The event began with Gilas taking on Australia in its final first round game of the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers. That didn't end well for the Philippines, with Gilas losing. But there is still Wimbledon, where Ayala takes on Italy's Jasmine Paolini in the round of 16. The 21-year-old Filipina heads into the match after straight set wins over defending champion Iga Swiatek in the previous round. And those are the big stories this Monday, July 6. I'm Cesorenia Drilon. Kapatid, we are One News, your side all the time. Have a good night.